And I never would have learned it back then. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I wasn't ready to learn it. Picture a campfire with a group of your friends sitting around it, and everybody has a story to tell. Now, let's bring your friends inside, leave the campfire outside, and listen to their stories. The ninth thing that you guys should know about me is I don't believe in coincidence. I believe things happen for a reason, and they happen when they should happen. I believe that Wayne wanted to have one last glass of wine with his sister and thank her for all of the great stuff she had done.
A smaller crowd, but hey, that means everybody tells a story tonight, right? It has to be true. That's one of the things. It has to be true about yourself, 5 minutes in the theme of the night. I think I got them all right, but Leslie will make sure we all know. My name is Linda Posten-Reeder. I'm one of the owners here at Pelican Art Gallery. Welcome back. Is there anyone who hasn't been to one of these yet? Is there a couple new people? Great, great. Well, welcome, welcome. This is a really fun night. Pelican Art Gallery is very honored to have this event going on here, and you'll hear all about how it happened and what's going on. But a couple things administratively. There are bathrooms. You go all the way to the back, follow the exit signs, and there are restrooms back there. Also, the emergency exit is back that way. If you are getting up to tell a story, you can, as I am doing, pull the microphone out of the stand, or you can adjust the stand. There are a couple different ways to adjust it. So if you need help, just let us know. Pelican Art, we've got a couple other things going on in the near future. We have on the 20th of August, actually, we've got the Downtown Association sponsoring this year's treasure hunt, the Great Petaluma Treasure Hunt. That's on the 20th, so it's not this Saturday, but it's next Saturday. Then on the 27th, the downtown is partnering with Cinnabar for Taste of Petaluma. And here in Pelican Art, we have Caterina Wines, Della Fattoria Bread, Cowgirl Creamery Cheese, and Libby's Organic Foods. I don't know how many people know, but Libby's Organic Foods moved into an 8,000 square foot production facility here in Petaluma. Their foods are sold in Whole Foods and the markets around. So we're real thrilled to have them join us this year, but I hope you support Cinnabar and come out and do Taste of Petaluma. It's a really fun afternoon. That's the 27th. And then right after Labor Day, we have a new show going up. We're actually going to feature one of 3 Art Trails preview shows. So if you go out to Art Trails, it's one of the oldest open studio events in the nation that happens right here in Sonoma County and features 130 artists, and they are all over the 5 different geographical districts of the county, and it's really a fun thing. But on the 2nd Saturday of the month, which actually is coming up this Saturday, I should have started with that. 2nd Saturday of the month, next month, will be the reception for that preview show. This month, the art walk is going to include Clear Heart Gallery for the first time. Woohoo! We're going north of Washington, which I'm really excited about, and we have a couple other opening receptions, including the Art Center is featuring an anonymous show. It's an incredible collection of not only photographs and art, but quilts. So it's a really fun show. You can start over there. There's plenty of parking, and walk yourself down around downtown. 14 different venues this month. So that's this month, but the art walks are getting some momentum. The other place having an opening reception is AWOL, Art Without Labels, which is our disabled adults art studio. And their theme is a luau, so I'm sure you have a lot of fun over there. But we are working hard as the gallery group to bring people downtown, bring people to the galleries, and let people know this is an art cultural community. And I think this kind of thing also helps with it. So we're glad you're here tonight. We're glad that we have WestSide Stories going on. And please help me welcome our host, our guest host, Leslie. Give her a hand. A 3. three-time winner.
Oh boy. This, I like to put it here. I use my hands too much to have this in one of them. Hi. So yes, I'm taking Dave Picorni's place tonight. I don't look much like him. As you can tell, I am not him. So the rules tonight are, we have 10 tellers, except we don't. We have 5. So anybody else who is wanting to tell tonight, put your name in. The stories are true stories. They are 5 minutes, no notes. If you go over 5 minutes, you'll hear a little ding, and then you have 60 seconds to wrap it up. The winner will be selected by one of you. You each got a little raffle ticket, and we draw one ticket. At the end of the night, if it's your ticket, you get to pick your favorite teller, story, whatever, whoever you want at the end of the evening, and they will win a $50 prize. I want to thank the sponsors. We have PCA and Zach. Thank you, Zach. It's so great. He comes faithfully every month and then puts together the show that you can watch on channel 26. And it's on a couple of times a week, and it's kind of fun to see if you haven't watched it before. We also have great little bookmarks that, I've got the name of it, Electric Crayon made for us. Those, another sponsor of ours. And, of course, Pelican Art, thank you so much for putting this on every time. Linda. Okay, I just have to go through all these little things. And if you filled out any little slips, you can give them to me over there. I have a few. So I am going to, first of all, announce, John and I have Clearheart Gallery now, which is just up the street across Washington on that side of the street. And it is pretty awesome. And we are having a great production of Petaluma the Musical, which is coming at the end of the month, the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. And, thank you. And you can get tickets. The tickets are going fast. We have limited seating there, even though it's a very large space. The fire marshal told us we couldn't have a lot of people. So tickets are limited, and we're selling tickets online at petalumathemusical.com. So go and get them because we are actually selling out, which is exciting. It's an original script, it's original music, and we have 11 original songs. Everybody in it is local. I'm directing, and it's going to be a really fun show. So hope to see you there. And the 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. The 28th is a Sunday matinee. If you don't want to come out at night, you can go to that one. And tell your friends. Tickets are $10, so cheap. So I am going to warm you up with a little story about high school. So let me just put these down. So actually, can we make the lights dimmer like we do sometimes? Oh, she has a secret panel. Oh, thanks. That's good. Okay. August 9th, 1973, a red letter day for me. I was going into my 10th grade year at high school, and that was the day I got my braces off. I had had braces for 6 years, and I finally got them off. So I was truly feeling like I was going from an ugly duckling to a swan that day. Suddenly my teeth were smooth and fabulous. So my mother and I were driving home from the orthodontist, and we went to Gill's Market, just this little store in town. And when we're checking out, I see at the end of the counter the cutest box boy I had ever seen. He was standing there. He had hair just about to here. He had wire-rimmed glasses with rose-colored lenses. He was fabulous. So I decided to unleash one of my brand new smiles on him. So I kind of smiled over there, and he winked back at me, and I about died. So he walks us out to the car, and I learn that his name is Steve. And he's 17 years old. He's going to be a senior at the high school up the road, and he drives his own car, a Chevy Impala. Oh, God. So, of course, that whole week I'm home. I am just begging my mother, don't you need some eggs? Don't you need some milk? Don't you need bread? So every day I would walk to the store and just to talk to Steve. So about on the third day of that, he actually asked me out on a date. So we made the date to go to dinner, and he shows up at the appointed time. My father answered the door, and my dad's face, it was like fear and shock or something when he opened the door, because there was Steve in his polyester shirt unbuttoned just to here. And he had on crushed velvet bell bottoms that were really tight, and he smelled of Brut cologne. And I had never dated a boy who shaved, let alone wore Brut cologne. So, and for whatever reason, my dad let me go out with him. So we went, and dinner, forget it. I was so nervous, I couldn't eat anything. We get back in the car, and he goes, why don't you scoot on over here? Of course, the Impala has the bench seats, and we didn't do seat belts anyway, so I scooted on over next to him, and we're driving around town. And we end up in College Hills, which in my town was where everyone went to park. And I had never parked before, because I'd never been out with a boy who had a car before. But he had, and I was fending him off at all angles all evening long. It was quite comedic. So we got through that, and at the end of the date, he says, you know, I went out with a girl last night whose name was Marie, but I like you a lot better. And at first I'm like, oh my gosh, he went out with a girl last night, and oh well, at least I won the competition. I'm thinking, that's good. So anyway, we went out several times, and then I get a call from his mom, and she invited me to his surprise birthday party. So I'm thinking, that's right, I'm the girlfriend. I get to go to the surprise party. So show up at the surprise party. My parents drive me there, and I walk in, and there are 15 girls there. And I thought that was a little strange. So I start chatting with everyone. It turns out we're all the girlfriend. He's been dating all of us at the same time. So his mother had decided her Playboy son was getting a little out of hand. She took his little black book and called us all up to teach him a lesson. So Steve, after 45 minutes, Steve comes walking in the door, checks out this situation, turns on his heel, and is out of there. And we're all just pissed, you know. So right about then, I hear from behind me, Leslie Scatcherd, is that you? And I turn around, and it's Louise Dixon. Now, Louise Dixon was my best friend in kindergarten, first and second grade. And then her family moved up to the next town, which when you're 7 is like moving out of state. I never saw her again. And there she is at this party. And I said, you've been dating this guy too? And she says, yes. She says, I knew he was kind of a creep because, you know, he didn't like that my first name was Louise, so he started calling me Marie, which is my middle name. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the girl he's comparing me with. We are these two fabulous girls, and he's playing us against each other. And I thought, what an idiot. So it was actually a really good lesson to learn early in life. Don't be caught up in their good looks and all. You got to look at their character. And also, it was a great thing because Louise and I became best friends again, and 40 years later, we're still best friends. And we love telling the Steve story. Thank you. Just a second. All right, so it's time. Time to pick. All right, can I just do this? Our first teller of the night is Steve Dyer.
Not the Steve, right?
Not the Steve. Although he was quite a player in my time.
Leslie and I have history. So Chrissy Vole was the first girl I remember meeting when I transferred to Miramonte High School, which is in Contra Costa County, over the hill from Oakland. I was a freshman. She was a freshman also. And she was fabulous even at 14. So in the same year I transferred, who was going to become my best friend, Steve, transferred also to Miramonte High School. And we became fast buddies, fast and furious buddies. Now, Steve and I were runners, and we hung out with runners, cross-country team guys. And if you saw a picture of us, we kind of looked like we were all different sizes and height, but we were all really skinny. And that part of us affected us. We made little things in our head about because we were so thin. And when we would see, Steve and I would walk around school, and when I would walk around with the other guys, we really looked like a box of pencils, all of us walking around. And we were geeky anyway. I mean, we truly were geeky, besides the things we made up in our head about being geeky. We would sit around and talk about, people's times they ran at the Olympics, or who had a better time. But that's what we talked about all the time, just something about running always. But Steve and I would hang out, and as school kept going, I would see, Chrissy Vole walking around school. And at times, Steve and I, we had a lot of class together. I don't know why, but Chrissy Vole would turn a corner, and we would go into lockjaw when she came towards us. And what we would do was look at one another and go, "It's Chrissy Vole." And we never had the guts to say, "Hi, Chrissy," or "Hi, Chrissy Vole." We just looked at her and she walked by us. And that went on for the 4 years of high school. So we got to our senior year, and being on the cross-country team was sort of like, you were just above the checkers club at our school. And it also so happened that this was the year, in our senior year, that the first time that our school had the championship football team. Now, Chrissy Vole was involved with everything. She was in the, she was in the songwriting group. She was in the, she was a cheerleader, she was the head of the cheerleaders, she was head of the student paper, she was in the French club. She was the total all-American girl. And of course, in her senior year, the famous running back from our school, who was called Jeff Black, she began to date Jeff Black, of course, the famous running back from our school. So we graduated, all of us graduated. Chrissy graduated, we graduated, Steve graduated, I graduated, and we all went off to college. In Miramonte, everybody seemed to go to college. So a year went by, and it was the summer after we'd spent a whole year away at college, and Steve and I decided to hitchhike into Berkeley. One of our favorite things to do was hang out in Berkeley. And we got a ride, and for some reason, the ride dropped us in front of our old high school. So we're standing out, dropped off in front of our old high school, and we look across at the driveway coming out of the high school, and there's a station wagon pulling out of the driveway, heading our way. We put out our thumbs, and we look in the window of the car, and it's Chrissy Vole. She's all alone, driving, and she drives up, and Steve and I, of course, go into, "It's Chrissy Vole." So we thought after a year, we were pretty cool. But there was still a geeky part of us, so when she pulled up, we opened the back door, and both of us sat in the back seat. So there was Chrissy Vole sitting in the front seat, and there we were sitting in the back seat, of course, with tongue-tied, of course. And Chrissy said, she turned to us and looked, and she goes, "And what grade are you boys in?" Not knowing that we had graduated from the same class as she had, which was absolutely mortifying to us. So she dropped us off, and the years went by, and I told that story first to close friends, And then the other friends as years went on, and I got more self-assured, and, you know, I could live through this. Well, 25 years went by, and it was class reunion, our 25th class reunion. And I went there with my date, and sure enough, sitting at the welcoming counter table was Chrissy Vole. And I thought, this is a good time to tell Chrissy this story. I feel really good about this, you know. So I went up to her and I said, Chrissy, hi, it's Steve Dyer, you know, I'm in your class, you know, and I wanted to tell you a story about, you know, the year after high school, you were, you know, driving your car, and she started to turn pale. I mean, she just turned pale. And she got this really sad look in her eye, and I told her the whole story, and it was very funny and stuff, and she said, you know, I have worried so much about that whole thing that happened that day. And for years, I wanted to say something, but I didn't know who you were or where you were, but it bothered me forever that I was like that and that I said those things to you. So I thought, wow, this is terrific. Chrissy's really a nice person, you know, really great person. So the story should end there, but 2 weeks ago, my friend Mike is driving on Highway 116, and at 116 in Stony Point, there's a fella there with a big truck, and he's selling teak furniture. So Mike, who is a talkative kind of guy, got out to talk to this fella and got the furniture, and as he was talking to him, for some reason, the guy said he went to school in Custer County, and Mike said, well, where'd you go to school? He goes, well, I went to Acalanes. He said, well, my friend Steve, he went to Miramati, which is right down the road. And he said, well, that's incredible. He said, my friend Steve was a runner. He says, well, I was a runner. And when'd you graduate? 64. Well, he graduated in 64. And so they go on with the story, and the guy's telling us all this great stuff. And Mike says, I got to tell Steve about you. You know, this is great. So Mike starts to walk back to his car, and the fellow yells out to Mike, Mike, wait, there's one other thing. And he says, tell Steve that I used to date Chrissy Vole.
So true. Got a couple of these. High school was awesome because I could play in the band and be on sports teams. Nothing better than music and athletics. And high school was awesome because of the Black Panthers. Two very different experiences in high school. Okay, we only have... Cherice Diamond.
I have a file of my favorite cartoons. And one of those cartoons is a drawing of a huge auditorium. And across the back wall of the auditorium is a banner that says, Convention for Adult Children of Normal Parents. And there are only 2 people in the entire auditorium. I would not be one of those 2 people. My senior year in high school, it was tough. I was so tired of living at home. I took a job before I was old enough to work, and I started saving my money. And I had after school and weekend part-time jobs to save up enough money to go to art school. This was my dream. I had applied to the art school. It was all set, except for one thing. I had to have an in-person interview with the dean of the Art Academy of Cincinnati, and I had to take a portfolio. Now, to show you how badly I wanted to get out of my home, every day on the way home from school, just before I got to the front door, I would get a headache. This meant everything to me. My father was an alcoholic, and my mother and he would have these horrible fights, usually at night after we were in bed. And the pattern would go, they'd have a fight, he would storm out and go to the neighborhood bar and come back drunker. They would have another fight, he would storm out and go to the neighborhood bar and come back. And about the third round, my mother would start telling him things that us kids had done bad. You know, she'd get him all worked up and then she'd aim him at us. Well, this one particular night, my sister had said or done some things concerning her driving lessons. And so he called us all downstairs in this rage, and he took her driver's permit and he shredded it and threw it on the floor. My punishment was that my mother was not allowed to drive me to my appointment with the dean of the Art Academy. That was my punishment. Okay. Now, fast forward 20 years. I'm in San Diego, and I'm in a personal growth workshop. And part of this workshop consists of sand tray therapy. It was at a woman's home. She had this whole room in her home just dedicated to sand tray. All the walls were lined with these shelves, and the shelves were filled with every object you could possibly imagine. Toys and sculptures and clocks and just anything you can imagine. What we did was go into this room and pick out things that attracted our attention and just kind of put them in a little basket. And then we went into the next room and we paired off 2 people, and each pair had a tray of sand. And we were to take turns. One person would arrange their objects in the sand tray, whatever way they wanted to, and the other person was there as an observer. So one of the things that I did was I picked a conch shell, one of those great big seashells, the conch shell, and I also picked an alabaster egg. And as my partner observer was watching me, I took that egg and I tried to fit it into the conch shell, and it wouldn't go. It wouldn't fit through the opening. But I tried again. And I think I tried that about 3 times before I set it down. The instructor came by and she sat down with us, and the observer told her she tried to fit that egg into that conch shell over and over again. And the instructor said to me, "You are so much bigger than where you came from." And that stayed with me. Okay, now rewind. I'm back in high school, and my mother is not allowed to drive me to the Art Academy. That's all he said, was that she was not allowed to drive me. He didn't say that I couldn't call up my girlfriend and get a loan and get on the Greyhound bus and go to Cincinnati. So I snuck out the next morning as if I was going to school. I didn't even take my portfolio with me because I was afraid I would be detected. Got on the Greyhound bus and had my interview with the dean at the Art Academy. Then I turned back into a kid all of a sudden, and I started worrying that my mother would miss me and she would panic and call the police and whatever. So I called her from a payphone in Cincinnati and I said, "Mom, I'm in Cincinnati. I had my interview with the dean. She didn't say much, but when I walked in the door that night and my dad was sitting in the living room, she said, "Tell your father where you were today." I went to the art academy and had my interview with the dean. There was a long silence, and he said, "I will never trust you again." Inside of my little teenage rebel self, I thought, that doesn't matter to me. I never knew you trusted me to begin with. No loss. And that was the first bold move of someone who is so much bigger than where she came from. Thank you.
Hi. All right, Loree, will you choose 1, 2, or 3 for me? We have Lauren Bell. Take a moment. I'm doing it right this time. All right, this time we have high school sucked because of acne, longing, and self-consciousness. High school was awesome because it's over. And high school sucked because I had to be there. Lauren Bell, come on up.
This is the third time Leslie's heard this, but I told Leslie today I was just so relieved that she was out of the competition tonight. Okay, so I actually went to high school here in Petaluma, and I graduated in 1977. I mean, 2000 and okay. So it's my junior year. It's near the end of the junior year. It's the year of, it's the weekend after prom, end of the year. I'm walking down the C wing to my journalism class, and lo and behold, and I'm late for class, so the halls are all empty. Everyone's already in class. I'm racing to get to class. Lo and behold, there's Joey Khalil, who doesn't know it yet, but we will be married at some point, standing with another friend, and they're both talking to a young girl very excitedly, trying to get this young girl to go somewhere with them. I can't quite tell what the interaction is exactly, but I'm walking, and so I get there, and Joey Khalil is literally somebody I have had a crush on since about 8th grade, and he's just this beautiful, dark-skinned young boy with thick black hair, and I just am crazy about him, and he absolutely has no idea I'm even alive. He doesn't know my name. We've never spoken, and suddenly I'm standing there with Joey Khalil and his other friend Rory, and the girl has walked away, and they've turned to me, and they're saying, "Lauren, we want you to come and get your picture taken with us." And I can't hardly believe this good luck. For some reason, that particular day, my hair was especially like Farrah Fawcett. I had my best dress on, and I'm standing with Joey Khalil, and he's asking me to walk down the hall with him to go take a picture. And I can't figure out, excuse me, I can't figure out why. My luck has changed so much. So I say, yes, absolutely, I will go with you. And I turn around and suddenly I'm walking down the hall and we're holding hands. He's holding my hand. And he's wearing this white cowboy hat that he's takes off his head and puts on my head. And he's flirting with me, and I'm flirting back. And I've become this person that I didn't even know existed within myself, this cool, calm, kind of flirty girl. And so we get outside, and in the center of the schoolyard is a group of young men, and they're all in tuxedos, as is Joey Cleo. And they get me in there, and I'm the only girl. And I don't quite get it and what the whole picture thing is about, but I don't really care because I'm there with Joey, and clearly he wants to be my boyfriend now. And so we take the picture, and I go back to class, and the end of the day, I walk by where I'm pretty sure Joey has his class, and I kind of stand around waiting for him to notice me. And he doesn't see me. So the next day I go by where I think Joey is, and he doesn't see me again. And on the third day, he sees me, because I'm standing outside the door where I know for sure he'll see me because he was walking right by me. So he does. He walks by with another friend. And they look at me and laugh and walk by. And I'm completely devastated, and I feel like my legs have been cut off, and I'm standing there feeling just stupid and ugly and stupid and ugly, and I can't believe that this has happened. And I didn't see Joey Khalil after that. And to this day, the photograph hangs at McNear's. You may have seen the photograph. It's a big photograph. And I've always felt a little awkward about it, or a little funny or embarrassed whenever I'd walk in there and see that. And I never said anything or did anything. I guess, I'm not really sure why. I guess I felt that I didn't want to face the truth of it, or the truth was more embarrassing than what I thought maybe the lies about the photograph were, what stories had been told about that photograph. Was the lone girl in that photograph somebody who had sex with everybody in that photograph? Or what exactly were the lies that had been told about that story? And so I turned 50 last year. I'm 51 now, and I've decided that what I'm going to do is type up a little story, frame it, take it in, and put it next to that plaque with the truth about what happened that day, the fact that I was a virgin. Every inch of my body was a virgin at that day and for much longer after that, and tell the truth about myself. And I guess I don't have much more of an ending to that story, but it's just interesting how we allow those lies about ourselves we believe those lies for a long time of what might be, you're not cool enough for Joey Khalil to like you, or you're not beautiful enough, or you're, so.
How did we all survive high school? Yikes. All righty, just two more. How would you like to pick one or two? One? One? That would be Matt McGuire. Let me read a couple of these, Matt. You can collect your thoughts. All right. High school sucked because it was all girls, prim and proper, not supposed to wear lipstick even, and I wasn't popular. High school was fine because it was my escape from home. High school sucked because the high school band was only a marching band, which I had no interest in. I dropped band and never played the clarinet again. Oh, man, that's bad. I am supposed to remind everyone to go on Facebook and find the WestSide Stories page and like it, because then you will get notifications from Dave and you'll get all the latest info. Okay, Matt McGuire.
Thank you, Leslie. So 1970 was a pretty wild and volatile time. That's the year that I graduated from high school in the San Fernando Valley, and Reseda High was the school I went to. And in that year, the LA City schools, I went to Reseda High, it was the smallest school in the system, and there were, I think, 1,200 people in my graduating class. And that particular year was the largest strike by the teachers, I think, in the history of the school system. They struck around, March or something. And they weren't just striking for more money, they were striking for better textbooks and smaller classes and things that, I certainly supported, as did most of my friends, my parents, a lot of people. They said at the time, look, kids, this looks like it's going to be really nasty. The press is very hostile. It's, going to be a long, drawn-out battle. So I'll tell you what, pretty much we're going to pick up where we leave off when this thing is over. In the meantime, we don't care what you guys do. Okay. So we had about a 4-month preview on summer that year, and it was very interesting. But being, of a politically sort of inclined state of being at a young age, what happened was over 80% of the teachers went out on strike. So in this huge city school system where there's tens of thousands of students, there was quite a managerial issue. So you'd go to your class, if there wasn't a gym coach substituting, they'd put a sign on there and they'd say, go to the study hall, sign up there. And so you go to study hall and there's like 135 kids. And, it's kind of raucous, but the people that were there still trying to maintain a minimum sense of order really were not the teachers that most of us had much respect for. Now, in looking at it now, I probably might not have been quite so contentious, but in one of the study halls, you send in a card with your name and what class you're supposed to be in, and on the bottom I wrote, "Scabs eat it." A sure winner. So, of course, the coach, McGuire, get up here. Yeah? It's like, if you're representative of the younger generation, we put you in a bag and tie you up and throw you over the bridge like a bunch of kittens into the river, And why you? It's like, oh, is that right? It's like, that's pretty astute. It's like, why I ought to deck you? And it's like, sounds a pretty good-sized kid. It's like, get out of here. So basically, the long and the short of it was I was thrown out of school for the duration of the strike. Well, that was even better. It's like, great, come on, guys, let's go to the beach. When the strike was resolved and we came back and the teachers, true to their word, said, okay, we're going to pick up where we left off. Of course, by this time, it was like late May. There was maybe, 4 weeks of the semester left. And so there was a little bit of teaching going on, but basically, being seniors, we're all looking forward to getting out of school and seeing what real life is like. But between then and graduation, the school administration goes, I'm sorry, we're transferring you to Van Nuys High. You're not allowed to come here anymore. And God bless my mom and dad. They said, you can't do that. That's bullshit. There's no reason for him to be, you threw him out during the strike, so he's paid his dues. You can't punish him like that. He's going to graduate with his friends. And they took it to the board, the school board, and the school board said, that's right, yeah, you can't throw him out. So that, of course, made the principal and the boys' vice principal extremely unhappy. But, mom and dad's like, don't rub their noses in it. It's like, okay, that's fine. We're almost out of here. Freedom beckons. We can maintain till the time comes. So on graduation day, of course, I did have to put a peace sign on my mortarboard because it was at the height of the Vietnam War. And, there was great, tremendous political upheaval. There were riots and demonstrations, and people were being needlessly slaughtered. Gee, does that sound familiar? Things like that. And so I thought, well, this is it. We're going out. So I bought a big bouquet of red carnations. And, when I got handed my diploma, I was going to hand them a bouquet of flowers and go, we all survived. No hard feelings, okay? Well, they call my name. I walk up, they go to give me my diploma, and I had this tucked in my sleeve, and I whipped it out, ta-da! And the boys' vice principal, or the assistant boys' vice principal, takes that thing, and he looks at it, and he just throws it. And the crowd just goes, ah, boo! And I took my diploma, and I walked off. And here I am today.
One, good pick. Let's see, who could it be? Linda Poster Reader. Reader. It's Reader. Okay, got it. Okay. Next month's topic is easy money. So if you have a story for that, let me read a couple of these. High school was awesome and sucked because the drama teacher who molested me went on to become the principal of the high school. Nice. High school was awesome because I came out of my shell with the help of a good friend. And high school sucked because I was super shy and didn't speak up for myself. Now, I'm a confident woman loving life. Yay for life after high school. I think we can all agree to that. Linda, poster reader.
Wow, good stories tonight. That's pretty tough to follow. I actually had the little story that said high school was great because you could be in the band and do athletics, but it was actually a turning point for me. I had been in junior high school, and I tried out for all the athletic teams, and I made basketball, and I did great at softball, but I never made the volleyball team, but I was in the band also. So I got to high school, and I thought, this is great, and it was a 3-year high school. 2 of my older brothers and my twin brother were there at high school with me, so there's a little bit of pressure. But I said, okay, well, I'm going to be in the band because I played French horn. I could do the marching band thing, I had my little section of the field that I had to do. I could do that. I had the plume. I had the great uniform. And I loved that. But it was the same time of year as the volleyball team. And I had tried out at junior high. I never made the volleyball team. But in high school, I made the volleyball team. I was on the junior high team. And there I was marching at the football game in my little thing that I had to do, and the varsity team was playing for the state championship. And there I am, a JV player, thinking, God, I wonder how they're doing. I was friends with all the cheerleaders because I had tried out for cheerleader, didn't make it, but that's okay because that really wasn't for me. So there I am at the football game with the cheerleaders, wondering what the women's volleyball team or the girls' volleyball team was doing because we knew they were playing for the state championship, and the football team was just playing some other school that didn't mean anything to anything, and so we got done, and we were all down there, and they were playing across the city. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, so they were playing at Cibola High School, where the state championships were that year, and we're all anxious, all the cheerleaders, all the drill team, and those of us in the band who are interested in athletics, thinking, well, I wonder how the women or the girls volleyball team did. We got off the field after halftime performance, and they had won the state championship. They had won, and so we all piled into cars, and we got down to Cibola, which is about 25 minutes away, and they had just gotten done with the celebration when we all came in, and the celebration erupted again. And there I was in my band uniform. I was one of the few musicians in the room, and I thought to myself, you know, I really want to play volleyball. I really want to be part of this, and if I stay in band, I'm not going to be able to be on the varsity team. And that was the point at which I decided to leave band. I love music. I think it was a great thing that I had in my history, but it was that moment that I decided I would pursue volleyball. And I did play volleyball my 3 years in high school, and in fact, it was the reason, or one of the reasons, that I got accepted to the U.S. Naval Academy. So high school was a great transition for me, and I'm really glad that I stuck with sports, but loved my music, and I really got to have it all in high school. So that's my high school story.
Good job, Linda. All righty. Now, let's see. I need to have all of the tellers come up in the front. Give them a big hand. Come and sit. You can remember each of their stories and what they told. I'm going to pull a ticket out of here. So grab your tickets out of your pockets. And whoever I pick is going to pick our winner tonight. All right. Here it is. Interesting number. 6464664. Hey. So, who is your pick tonight? You're the pick one.
No pressure. No pressure. This is so cruel.
It's awful.
Just like life.
It's cutthroat. Okay, give me the
Da 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 dun 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 ding ding. Okay.
My choice is
Lauren Bell. Yay! Great. Very good. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much. Next month, Easy Money here, second Wednesday of the month. Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
I got revenge on the police officer that gave me my very first ticket. I won't procrastinate any longer and tell you. Come, share, enjoy, and you'll live happily ever after. Working the Red Lion Inn in Modesto, California.